Okay. So everybody up here ready to talk about this? Okay. So first thing you know you do, bake your mesh maps. This is always the same. Deselect all the maps. Bake your ambient occlusion and your curvature at whatever resolution. 1K is probably fine. You can just like set the anti-aliasing higher using the default settings, and if we bake those, it should be totally adequate. Okay, we got our curvature in there too. It's like these are the things we want to base our materials on. So we are going to take advantage of the fact that we have information about the surfaces from these maps. And because everything is very sharp, the curvature is not going to be super useful on this one, unfortunately. You might be able to go and tell it to use the old method. Instead of generating from the mesh, generate from a normal map. And maybe we can see if we can pull out a better curvature map from that. Okay, that might give us a little bit more to work with. And then after you have those, then you can bake your world space normal and your position, and you can do those at a lower resolution. So go back in your common settings, bake that at as low resolution as you can get away with, because you don't want to bloat out your substance file too much. And so you use the bare minimum. It'll keep your file sizes lower and make everything faster. And you don't need to bake all the rest of these things unless, like, you can do ID if you have a reason for doing ID. ID can be very useful for masking based on materials, and that becomes really useful if you have a lot of things to do. Like one of my coworkers was doing a whole bunch of cars for Boss Baby, and so he set it up so that all the car models had ID maps that he could use, so that he could use the same material and just stick it on the car, and then it would automatically mask based on the material name because he had set the models up appropriately. So it's extra legwork, but it can be really useful if there's tons of stuff to do. Because those ID mask picks, those will persist when you load a new model. It will just use that same color to set the mask for the object. But we're not doing that for this. We could, like if you assign like concrete and bricks and stuff like that to a material, and then you did the bake, and you have to figure out how you're going to get the bake to work, because like there's some things that work and other things that don't work. I don't remember what works anymore. You'd have to fiddle with it. So all right, we have our basic building. We're just gonna find a brick to start with, if we can find like a material. Okay, clay terracotta, great. Are there really no bricks? Okay, good enough. We are gonna start making our smart material by grouping that. We're gonna do another one, concrete. Remember to name things so that you don't have to search for things later. Okay, concrete, good enough. And then we're gonna start masking these things. So this is the piece that doesn't carry across your smart material. So if you want to, you can always like group this. So, and then we're gonna put a mask on here. But this isn't gonna be part of our smart material. So why don't we just name this? Okay, so then we can mask this, brick mask. Okay, so we're good. We're just going to okay. Bricks, concrete. Sorry, I'm. Come on, work for me. Okay, there's that. There's that. Okay. And now in my smart material, I'm going to do things like I want to add some grunge. So we're just going to add And I'm going to add a black mask here, add a fill, and I'm going to just go find a grunge map. Okay, grunge map. I'm going to set it on trilinear projection, maybe, or maybe UV. I'm just going to try to pick something that works well for what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm just trying to like make this not all feel the same, right? And now I can change the color of the schmutz.
Great. Not this again.
I no, and that's a lot. But I can also, so that's fine. Again, I'm not trying to do bricks because there's just not time. But I'm also going to go in here and I'm going to add like a generator, and I can do like ambient occlusion or dirt, or there's the mask generator. So with the mask generator, I can just dial in how this mask behaves. And so we've got occlusion, and we got a gradient, like world space normal. Like, do we care about the top intensity? It's like, okay, yeah, we do care about the top intensity. So we'll bring the top intensity up. If there were any bricks up there, that would matter. We're going to go into our AO, and we can adjust the range to see how big we want this to be. We can adjust the contrast and the noisiness, and we can. You should look at some of the smart masks. Like if you go down here to smart masks, look at how they're constructed. But we're going to base this on the ambient occlusion. So when we take the smart material and dump it on something, it's always going to inherit some awareness of the environment. And then remember to use your blend modes. Like, okay, that's fine. And then maybe I'm going to add another grunge here just to add a little bit more breakup. So going to increase the frequency, tiling amount. And I'm just going to, like, maybe I'll do a subtract or something. And I'm going to turn this down just to bring a little bit back. And so now I've got, my material has some awareness of the world, right? So I built a mask that knows where it's going. And so then when I make a smart material from this here, I can plop that on any asset and it's going to inherit some details. The same thing is like if I want to have a vertical gradient. And we're just going to add a fill. And we're going to add a gradient. This gradient is convenient because it's got the dust gradient, and we're going to do it with the projection. We can do a triplanar or a, let's see, I think we can turn off one of the planes in here. Maybe not. No. We'll just do a planar for now. So we'll change it to planar projection. So now it's going to go one direction, and maybe I won't use that one. I'll just use the regular gradient. Okay, and I'm going to invert it. And then if I scale this to my object, I can always have a gradient there, right? And I will just add a levels, which I think balance might also do that, but balance usually isn't very useful, so I'll just add a levels. And then I can adjust the bias on this thing. And let's say I want to have like a ground dirt color. I'm just going to put it down here, still in the smart material. And it's only going to contribute color, and it's not even going to be on, right? And then I'm going to add an anchor point. And I'm just going to call it, it's called ground dirt color, and then I can come up here. Because your network might get really complicated, and maybe you have folders and things like that. I can put like my base colors that I want to be able to adjust down here, and then when I put a smart material, I can just look down at the bottom of the network, and I can always find the pieces that will control it. And so if I go up here and I change my fill to be ground dirt color, then I can edit it right here. And let's say we want an orangey ground dirt, which maybe that looks good, who knows. And Then I'll change my blend mode to like a multiply or something like that. And so now I have a smart material that that I can control the color of. I can then, it's like I've got my gradient. I can add another grunge here. And I'm just going to multiply that. So this is going to control how much ground dirt we get. And if we made this black, then you can see it a little bit stronger, and we can also adjust like the levels here, or maybe change it to a normal. So here's my grungy like gradient, and it's built into my smart material. So now if I make my smart material here, now I have a reusable, it's not really bricks, but I can pop it on anything and it will have these built-in components. So let's just start this project over again. Okay. Okay, so now you have another building to shade. I've got my brick material here. I'm going to mask it. Okay. And we'll do our concrete again. I didn't make a smart material. We'll just make this gray. I gotta fix that thing. Okay, there. So now in my smart material, I can go in here and it's like, okay, for this one, I want this dirt to be a little greener, right? Alien invasion. And so it's already built in there, and then it's just a matter of I can fine tune it, or because this is a smart material, it's unpacked and ready for you now to edit. So you get your broad strokes in there as quickly as possible. You build in all the pieces that you're going to want to use over and over again, but you make it so that then you can easily fine tune things. And if I'd been smart, I would have named this ground, and I would then just change the contribution there. Okay? Questions? Yes?
Not so much a question, but also remember to bake your maps.
Precise. Okay, good. Yeah, so now we bake our mesh maps. Same thing as always. What do I want to bake? Ambient occlusion and curvature. And I'm going to go for this one because I know I have a lot of sharp edges and I'm not going to get much from curvature. I'm going to switch it to generate from normal map. And how am I going to anti-alias how am I going to get enough samples on my ambient occlusion? So I'm just going to I'm going to go here, subsampling. Like the other way to do it would be leaving it 1 and then just going into your ambient occlusion and cranking up your secondary rays. But I found that you can just set the sampling and it'll do the same thing. Okay, and then we bake position and world space normal because we want to be able to do stuff on the top. We don't care about, unless we're baking from a high-res model, we don't care about the normal, this one here. This one's only useful when you're baking from from a high to low model, at least in my workflow. I'm not sure what else you could do with it. And when we don't bake our curvature, when we're just baking world space normal and position, we don't need as high a resolution. So turn it down to whatever you can tolerate. Okay, and we return to painting, and now our smart material is inheriting all the right behaviors. If we had made our concrete the same way, our horizontal concrete would be grungy, our edges would be like nicked, and you can make the whole thing work pretty seamlessly. Questions? Okay. Remember to keep your shading networks in Substance well contained and grouped. It's like if you have a material and it has wood, make a wood folder. Put all your wood stuff inside of that. If you have another material, do the same thing. Keep it tidy, and you can work much faster. It's like when you see a really nice model where they've used just the right number of edges to capture the things. The same thing is true in Substance. You can work very efficiently and get everything working fantastically with a few well-chosen pieces. And if you don't group things and you don't make it easy, then you'll just kind of end up floundering, and you'll have fill layers all over the place. Your file is going to be heavy and difficult to work with. And when I see it, I'll be sad. Okay,